I was blindfolded when the door opened softly. 14 years of marriage, and in one quiet evening, everything I thought I knew about love gently shifted. My husband Daniel had asked me a single question that still echoes in my heart. Do you trust me completely? The silk was cool against my skin, his fingers brushing my temples with such tenderness that my breath caught. I had said yes without hesitation, yet that small word felt enormous in the darkness. I expected his hands, his voice, perhaps a night of rediscovered closeness. What I received was something far deeper, a gift wrapped in trust, surprise, and the quiet power of being truly seen. Our marriage had never been the stuff of dramatic films, no stormy arguments followed by passionate reconciliations, just steady, warm, everyday love. Daniel worked hard in his architectural firm. I managed our cozy home and my small interior design projects. Mornings began with coffee and soft conversations about the day ahead. Evenings ended with shared dinners and the comfortable rhythm of two people who had learned to fit together like well-worn puzzle pieces. But lately, something in Daniel had changed. He brought home flowers, not the quick supermarket bunches, but carefully chosen ones with soft petals that spoke of thoughtfulness. His hand would linger on the small of my back when he passed me in the kitchen. His eyes followed me with a quiet intensity I hadn't felt in years. When I teased him about it, he only smiled that slow, secret smile and said, "You'll see soon." Our 15th anniversary was approaching, and the air between us had grown gently charged, like the moment before summer rain. That night, the house smelled of vanilla candles and the red wine we both loved. I wore the deep blue dress he always said made my eyes look like evening skies worth getting lost in. Dinner was simple yet beautiful. Roasted vegetables, soft music playing in the background, but Daniel could barely eat. He kept looking at me across the table, his gaze warm and full of something unspoken. "You're staring again," I said softly, smiling. "I know," he replied, not looking away. "I can't help it. You're beautiful tonight, Elena. You always have been." After dinner, he took my hand and led me to the living room. The candles flickered softly against the walls, casting golden shadows. We sat on the couch, close enough that our knees touched. He held both my hands in his, tracing gentle circles on my palms with his thumbs. "Elena," he began, his voice low and serious, "I want to ask you something important, and I need you to know that you can say no at any moment. Nothing will change between us if you do. I promise." My heart fluttered strangely. "What is it?" He took a slow breath. "There's something I've been wanting to give you. One night where you let me lead completely, where you trust me enough to close your eyes and not know what's coming next. I want to blindfold you, and there might be more, but you'll have a safe word. One word, and everything stops instantly. No questions, no explanations needed." I searched his face. His eyes were steady, filled with love and a quiet vulnerability I rarely saw. I understood then that this wasn't about games or control. It was about something much deeper. "You want me to trust you in the dark," I whispered. "Yes," he said gently. "Do you trust me, Elena? Really trust me?" In that moment, looking into the eyes of the man I had built a life with, I felt the depth of our years together. The quiet mornings, the shared laughter, the way he always knew when I needed silence or a hug. "Yes," I answered, my voice soft but sure. "I trust you." He moved slowly, reverently. The silk scarf he used was soft as a whisper. As he tied it gently over my eyes, the world dissolved into complete darkness. Suddenly, every sound felt louder, every touch more alive. I became aware of my own breathing, the warmth of his hands on my shoulders, the faint scent of his cologne that always felt like home. "I'm right here," he murmured close to my ear. "I'm not leaving you, not for a second." He helped me stand and guided me to our bedroom, his arm securely around my waist. 12 steps. 13. The familiar doorway. Then his hands were on the zipper of my dress, sliding it down with infinite care, as though he were unwrapping something precious. The fabric whispered to the floor. Cool air kissed my skin, followed immediately by the warmth of his palms, gliding lightly along my arms. "You're trembling," he whispered. "I'm okay," I said. Just feeling everything. He led me to the bed and laid me down gently. Soft silk ties circled my wrists, loose enough that I could free myself if I wished. "These aren't to hold you," he said quietly. "They're only to remind you that tonight you can choose to let go. You're safe, my love." His fingers traced slow, soothing paths along my arms, across my shoulders, and down to my hands. Every touch was gentle, filled with quiet adoration. I felt cherished in a way I hadn't in years. Then he leaned close, his lips brushing my forehead in the softest kiss. "I'm going to ask you something," he said against my skin. "Do you feel safe?" "Yes," I breathed. In the darkness, with my hands lightly bound and my sight gone, I had never felt safer. His lips found mine then, a slow, deep kiss that carried 14 years of shared memories and quiet longing. I melted into it, feeling the steady beat of his heart against me. And then, the soft click of the front door opening. My breath caught. Footsteps, careful, measured, moved through the house. Not Daniel's. He was still beside me, his hand resting warmly on my hip, grounding me like an anchor. "Daniel," I whispered, my voice small in the darkness. "Remember your word, Elena," he said softly, his thumb tracing gentle circles on my skin. "One word and everything stops. But I promise, you know him. And he's only here because I asked." The mattress dipped on my other side. A second presence settled close, warm, careful, respectful. I could hear breathing, slightly different from Daniel's, slower, deeper. A familiar voice spoke, low and kind. "Hello, Elena." Marcus. Daniel's oldest friend. The man who had stood beside us at our wedding, who had shared countless barbecues, holidays, and quiet conversations over the years. The one whose gentle eyes had always lingered on me a moment longer than necessary, though he had never once crossed a line. "Marcus," I breathed, my heart racing. "I'm here," he said softly. "Only if you want me to be. If you want me to leave, I'll go right now. No questions. We'll never speak of it again." Daniel's hand tightened slightly on my hip, not possessive, but reassuring. "This is your night, my love. Your choice. Always." In the velvet darkness, with two men I trusted sitting on either side of me, 1,000 thoughts swirled. Fear, confusion, and beneath it all, something warmer. A deep, surprising longing to be wanted, not just by the man I loved, but to feel seen in a way I had quietly forgotten was possible after so many comfortable years. I swallowed. "Don't leave," I whispered. A gentle silence fell. Then Marcus's hand found mine. His fingers were warm, hesitant at first, brushing lightly along the inside of my wrist where the silk rested. The touch was feather soft, asking permission with every inch. "Is this all right?" he asked quietly. I nodded, my breath shaky. His hand moved slowly upward, tracing the line of my arm with such care that it felt like a question rather than a claim. Daniel remained close, his palm resting warmly against my shoulder now, his presence steady and loving. They never rushed. Their touches were like soft waves, one hand gently leaving as another arrived. Marcus's fingers brushed my forearm. Daniel's lips pressed a tender kiss to my temple. Marcus traced the curve of my shoulder with infinite patience. Daniel's hand found mine and held it, our fingers intertwining. "You're shaking," Marcus said softly, his voice full of concern. "I know," I managed. "But don't stop." Daniel leaned in, his forehead resting gently against mine. "You're so brave, Elena. So beautiful like this. I see you. We both see you." The words wrapped around my heart like warm light. Brave. I hadn't thought of it that way. But in choosing to stay in the darkness, in allowing myself to be vulnerable with two men who cared for me, perhaps there was courage. Time stretched like warm honey. They spoke in low, soothing voices, sharing small memories, gentle compliments, quiet affirmations. Marcus told me how he had always admired the way I made everyone around me feel at home. Daniel reminded me of the night I stayed up with him during his biggest project deadline, believing in him when he doubted himself. Their hands continued their gentle dance, brushing arms, holding hands, light touches on shoulders and cheeks, forehead kisses, the soft press of a palm against my back. Never more than that. The restraint itself became the most powerful thing. In holding back, they gave me something rarer, the pure feeling of being cherished, desired, and deeply respected. At one point, Daniel shifted behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist in a protective embrace. Marcus sat in front, his fingers gently intertwined with mine. We stayed like that for a long while, 3 hearts beating in the quiet room, connected not by passion alone, but by trust and tenderness. Tears slipped from beneath the blindfold, not from fear, but from a quiet, overwhelming realization. I was wanted, truly wanted. Not just in the comfortable way of long marriage, but in the way that made my heart remember it was still alive with longing and beauty. Daniel must have felt the tears. He kissed them away gently, one by one. "We're here," he whispered. "You're safe. You're loved." Marcus's thumb brushed my cheek with the softness of a promise. "You deserve to feel this way every day," he said quietly. "Beautiful, seen, cherished." Later, how much later I couldn't tell, Daniel's hands moved to the silk blindfold. He untied it slowly. The room came back in soft golden light from the many candles. Daniel was behind me, his eyes shining with emotion, his arms still holding me close. Marcus sat in front, looking at me with such genuine warmth and respect that my chest ached. I lay between them, vulnerable, yet completely safe, my hands still lightly bound by silk that now felt like a symbol of choice rather than restraint. Marcus smiled softly. He lifted my hand and pressed a single respectful kiss to my knuckles. "Thank you for trusting me tonight," he said. Then he nodded once to Daniel, a silent understanding between old friends, and quietly left the room. The door closed with a gentle click. It was just the 2 of us again. Daniel untied the silk from my wrists and pulled me into his arms, wrapping a soft blanket around us both. He held me as my body slowly stopped trembling, his hand stroking my hair with endless patience. "Was that okay?" he asked after a long while, his voice uncertain but full of love. I thought about it deeply, resting my head against his chest where I could hear his steady heartbeat. "I don't know yet," I answered honestly. "Ask me again in the morning." He chuckled softly, the sound vibrating through me. "I will. I'll ask you every morning for as long as you'll let me." We lay in silence for a while, the candles slowly burning lower. Then I asked the question that had been resting in my heart. "Daniel, was tonight for me, or was it for you?" He was quiet for a long moment, his fingers tracing gentle patterns on my back. "Both," he admitted softly. "I wanted you to feel what I see every single day, the way other people look at you when they think I'm not watching, the way Marcus has always looked at you, with quiet admiration. I wanted you to remember that you are still so deeply desirable, that the years haven't taken that away, that you are worth wanting again and again." Tears filled my eyes once more. This time, I let them fall freely against his skin. "I felt it," I whispered. "I felt seen, not just by you, but in a way that reminded me I'm still me, still worthy of longing and care." His arms tightened around me. "You are, Elena. You always have been, and you always will be." In the quiet hours that followed, we talked, not about the details of the night, but about the years we had shared, about the small moments that had made our love strong, the way he made me laugh during hard days, the way I supported his dreams even when they scared him. We spoke of how easy it is for comfort to make us forget the quiet fire that still burns beneath. That night didn't change the shape of our marriage. It didn't need to. Instead, it expanded it, like opening a window in a room you thought you knew completely, letting in fresh air and new light. Marcus never returned to our bedroom. He remained the dear friend he had always been, respectful and kind. But something gentle had shifted in all of us, a deeper understanding, a shared secret of trust and tenderness. Weeks later, on our actual anniversary, Daniel and I sat on the same couch where he had first asked me that life-changing question. He took my hands again, just as he had that night. "Elena," he said softly. Do you still trust me? I smiled, leaning forward to press my forehead against his. More than ever. He kissed me then, slow, full of 14 years of love and the new layers we had discovered together. A kiss that carried gratitude, wonder, and the quiet promise of many more years ahead. Sometimes, the deepest intimacy isn't found in grand gestures or dramatic passion. It's found in the willingness to be vulnerable, in trusting someone enough to step into the unknown together, in discovering that love doesn't have to stay small and familiar. It can stretch, grow, and hold even more beauty than we imagined. That night, trust didn't break. It expanded, and in its gentle, open arms, I found myself again, desired, cherished, and deeply loved. I still don't have all the answers about what happened in the darkness. Maybe I never will. But I know this with all my heart. I said yes. And if life offered me that same question again, with the same loving eyes looking back at me, I would say yes once more. Because sometimes, the most beautiful stories are the ones written not with fireworks, but with whispered trust, gentle hands, and two hearts brave enough to hold space for something softer, deeper, and infinitely more tender.